Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and in today's video I want to talk about using a Nintendo DS Lite exclusively for gaming for a week. So I recently had a trip away and I wanted to take some sort of games console with me, but I didn't particularly want to take my PS Vita. It is a fantastic console. It would have been great for on-the-go gaming, but it's big, especially if you put it in a case. It makes it big, and I was a bit worried about it getting lost or stolen or broken, so I decided to take a DS Lite with me, and I actually went out and bought a DS Lite just to take with me. So this is it, and as you can see, it's in excellent condition. A fantastic little console, and it's small, it's compact, it's highly durable. I mean, these are great consoles. The only thing you really tend to see on DS Lites is a broken hinge here where it's sort of open and shut over the years, and these are about 18, 19 years old, but as you can see, this one is in superb condition. The hinge is still absolutely fantastic, and like I said, they are very small, very compact, and a very durable console. The fact that it shuts and the screens are protected is a absolute bonus, and I didn't have any worries about just throwing it in my backpack and taking it with me. I didn't even put it in a case, so that's the reason I went and bought a DS Lite. Well, that's some of the reason anyway. The other reason is absolutely fantastic battery life, so I decided I would give it a bit of a test. So I fully charged this DS Lite before I left, and I did take the charger with me, but for the entire week I didn't need to charge it, and so I probably used it for about 14-15 hours for gaming, and it's still on. It's still got a green power light. So this hasn't been charged since I left, and I've used it a little bit since I've been back as well. So 14-15 hours on a single charge is absolutely superb. I mean, it is one of these consoles that you could just, especially if you're not going away for a week, you know, you going to see a friend for a day, or you've got some day of travelling, you could charge it, not worry about needing to bring a charger with you, and it will last. So what did I get up to on this little tiny beast of a console in that week? Well, I played my usual games, so a bit of new Super Mario Bros, Mario Kart DS, Mario 64, a bit of Burnout Legends, Sonic All-Stars Racing. One of my favourite games to play is Kirby Mass Attack, and then I checked out a couple of new games that had been recommended. So one of them was Little Red Riding Hood Zombie Barbecue. Bizarre title, absolutely fantastic game. And then I checked out the Alice in Wonderland game, which doesn't really sound my cup of tea, but it's a very bizarre bit of a twist on the Alice in Wonderland games or story, where you play as the rabbit and you've got to protect Alice, and the graphics and the gameplay are absolutely stunning on it. I did also check out one of the Castlevania games, because I've never really played Castlevania, and it's alright, but I'm not very good at games, and I got a bit stuck and then I left it. But my general go-to games are sort of Mario games and a bit of Kirby, and those are the games that I had a bit of a bash on while I was away. But half of the time that I was using my DS, my son was playing on his DSi, and we did multiplayer, download play, Tetris DS. So not only did this console last 14-15 hours of gameplay, but probably about half of that was via Wi-Fi link download play. So, you know, where you've only got one cartridge, so you can share some of that game with the other DS, and it pulls it in and plays the whole sort of game via Wi-Fi, and you're playing against each other. So I thought 14-15 hours of standard gaming was fantastic, but to then also do Wi-Fi gaming, that's going to have an impact on battery life, but it didn't seem to. So like I say, this is still going, it's still got a green power light, and it's just an absolutely superb example of Nintendo at its best. I'm not under any illusions. The DS has very limited power. Even if you compare it to something like the PSP, which is in the same generation as it, the DS really has very little processing power. very little internal specs. You're talking a 66 megahertz processor and 4 meg of system RAM. That is nothing. But what Nintendo does do is make up in gameplay. So obviously you've got all your Mario titles. That's something you cannot get on other systems outside the Nintendo world anyway. It is lit down a little bit if you're looking at something like Burnout Legends, which is a great game on the DS, but it really just shows it's not a console capable of pushing fantastic graphics. The DS is not always about graphics. I mean, there are some superb examples of how things are done well, where developers have really pushed the system. So you've got something like Cop the Recruit, Metroid Prime Hunters. These are fantastic games with absolutely stunning graphics. Obviously, things like Mario Bros and Mario Kart look superb, but the majority of DS games you can really tell are cut down versions or sort of reworked to fit and run on this kind of hardware. But it didn't hurt sales. It's a DS, it's kind of what you expect, and the gameplay and the battery life on a Nintendo DS is fantastic. Similar to the Game Boy era, where there were lots of other competitors that offered far superior products, but Nintendo's pricing and Nintendo's game selection just pushed their inferior hardware and made them absolutely sell amazingly. So I used a DS Lite for a week. It was a great experience, and it was just nice to have a console in the bag that I knew I could pull out, play for a few hours and not really worry about battery life. The game selection on the DS is absolutely superb, so there's something for everybody, whether that's racing, there's lots of RPGs, not my sort of thing, platformers, there are some sort of open world titles and a few first person shooters, but the design and the layout and the hardware inside the DS really doesn't lend itself well to open world and first person shooters, but that was my experience. This is a fantastic console. It's extremely portable, extremely durable. The battery life is insane. The game selection is superb, especially if you're just looking for something to play while you're on a coach or sitting somewhere in the evenings. There are plenty of go-to games that you can lose yourself in, and one of the things I do like about Nintendo consoles, they have a lot of what I call pick up and go games. My Vita is great, but they're more AAA titles. They're full games that you need to sort of sit down and spend 3, 4, 5 hours playing, whereas you can quite easily pick up a DS and find a game and play it for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then put it away again. So that's my experience. I've used this DS Lite for an entire week. I had no other means of gaming. I mean, I had my phone with me, but I don't do mobile phone gaming because I like physical buttons. And I was absolutely amazed by, well, what you can do on it. It's quite easy sometimes when you've got a lot of games consoles to sit there and go, well, yeah, I love the DS, it's fantastic, but it sits on the shelf and you use something else. But when I was going to say stuck, but I wasn't stuck with it because I chose to take this with me. But when this is your only gaming device, you really learn to appreciate the quality of it. Even now, so back when it was released in 2006, I think, 2004, 2006, the DS and the DS Lite was superb. Obviously, I prefer the DS Lite over the original one. I think it's far more compact, far more durable, better screens, battery life is amazing. But the DS platform is still a superb way of playing games, and if you've got an original DS or this DS Lite, you could play your Game Boy Advance games too. That is an absolute bonus. So my experience of using the DS Lite for a week is that it is a fantastic portable console that is got absolutely stunning battery life. It's compact, it's durable, you can just chuck it in a bag and don't need to worry about, well, you do need to worry about it breaking, but it's far more durable than probably any other console on the market, and I really enjoyed it. It's really kind of gotten me back into DS gaming, because when I'm at home, my Vita is my sort of pickup console, and don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic console, but there's just something about this little tiny device that is amazing, and when that's your only form of gaming, you do really come to appreciate it a little bit more, and the game selection that is available on the DS. So that's my experience. I used a Nintendo DS Lite for gaming exclusively for a week, and it's great. And even now I'm back, my Vita still is my favourite console, but it hasn't come out. There's a couple of games that I'd gotten into while I was away that I'm still playing now. So there you go. Awesome console, compact, a little limited on power. Even on release it was sort of a little limited on power, but it certainly makes up for it in gaming. Let me know what you think. Do you like the DS, or do you think it's had its day? Well, it has had its day, but it's still a fantastic games console. Like, subscribe, enjoy.